Hey friends, Pastor Michael from Organic Church, here with Sydney Erickson, Don Reed, Beth Jarvis, Nick Offolter, and Pastor Roger Deerdorf. Okay, big question tonight. What is the single biggest time waster in your life, and what can you do about it? I don't like this question because it says single biggest time waster, and I could come up with 10.
Many.
Oh, absolutely.
At least 10.
Well, our cell phones have to be the number one for everybody.
Sure. For sure. And if you're saying that it's not, you're Roger, and you can't find it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Roger, I'm right there with you. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That's it.
Mine's not glued to my ear.
That's the whole episode.
No, I lose mine half a dozen times out the day. Where's it at
Me
now?
too. Me
Gotta
too.
find it with my watch.
I don't lose it. I just don't
I
answer
lose
it.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I'm
Yeah.
constantly pinging
yeah.
my phone.
That's
from my
why
watch.
I got the watch.
Yeah.
Same. Like, where is it?
Can't
now I
ever
need one
find
of those for my keys.
Yeah. I have a tile on my
tile
key.
thing? Mhm.
It doesn't help because you have to practically be standing over top of it for it to ping the keys.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
What do you need keys for? You got a Tesla, or you need your phone.
Well, because I can't find my phone either. Can't find my phone. Can't find my car.
Jeez.
Been there, done that. Beth had to. One of my sons took my phone home with them one day after church, and I'm walking around the building, and I'm like, "Where is it?" So I grab my iPad, and I'm looking, and my phone is driving up the road. I'm like, "Somebody took my phone." So Beth is calling it. They're not answering, of course. I later realized that it was on silent, so it would send straight to voicemail because my phone was on silent. So she sent a text, "Please call." Nothing. Finally, Aaron realized he had it and called Alyssa and told her that he had it. Alyssa called Beth and said, "Hey, Aaron." And I said to Alyssa, I said, "Well, that's great, except for I can't drive my car." Couldn't get in the car. So fortunately, she could remote unlock my car, and I had a spare key card in the console, so we were all good, but that was
That's
stressful.
Like I say, you need a spare phone.
Yeah, yes, I need a spare phone with my
Yeah.
Tesla app, which I would never be able to find.
Well, that's true.
So,
Go ahead.
especially after church on Sundays, because I take my watch off, my phone off, and I lay them down, usually in the sound booth, but then Sis just hands them to, like, whether it's my
Whoever.
wife or one of the kids. Who knows?
You were saying like you saw your was it the car? No, it would have been your phone.
My phone,
going
yes.
through the maps.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was like 10, 12 years ago. I went to Cedar Point with a friend, and it was just right when the iPhones like became big, and we were swimming, and it was even under my phone and towel, and I lost that, and then the guy we were with lost his wallet.
Ooh.
Well, someone ended up stealing them.
Ooh.
So they did have like Find My Phone at that time. So I was calling Cindy. So I'm up in Sandusky, and she's down here like on someone else's phone, like you said, like with Alyssa's. And she's like, "Okay, well, it's saying it's by the Ferris wheel." So it's like, as she's telling me this, she's texting my phone, like, "Please just put her phone down. She doesn't even have to meet you. Just put it down, and she'll come get it." I go get it, and it's like in a bush, and it's all just beat up and shattered. And I'm like, oh. So, that little circle thing that you can, like, if your home button doesn't work, I had to use that because my home button fell off. Because, they shattered it to
For no reason.
For no reason.
For no reason.
But he didn't end up getting his wallet back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Gosh.
Already off topic.
It had to do with the phone at least.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's our problem.
Wasting your time.
Is we rabbit hole. We start with one conversation, then all of a sudden we're not even close to where we began. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun.
I don't think it's only just our phones, but it's Facebook, TikTok.
I think it's technology in general.
Yeah, because if I can't find for instance, I left my phone at home one time, and I just hop on Facebook and send my wife a message, "Hey, I left my phone at home." But because of that, my MacBook, my iMac in my office, everything has iMessage. So if you have an iPhone, you can still text me, and I just get it on my computer instead. It's kind of strange, but it doesn't have to be to my phone. So then I find myself just tethered to a computer all day, texting people or whatever. Just, it's really strange. But you're right.
Yeah.
Technology in general, and then social media is the kind of feather in the cap on those ones because you have all of the social media. So then you hold on, or all of the technology. So you're constantly connected.
Yeah.
How do you sit in front of that computer all day?
It's bad. It really is.
I was looking for parts today, and I about fell asleep.
Yeah.
I had to get up and go outside.
Well,
Oh man,
it's even worse because my office doesn't have any windows.
Oh my.
So it's literally a storage closet.
Yeah, but at least you're up and moving at some point during the day, right?
Depends on the day.
I was gonna
Like,
say.
today I sat in my office for probably the first 4 hours of the day, and I finally got to the point I couldn't take it anymore. So I just sacrificed getting my work done just so I could get out of the office. I was like, I can't be in here any longer.
Yeah. When I worked at the dentist's office, I mean, you were seated the whole time unless I would just make it a point, like after we checked everyone out, like, well, I need a refill on my water again just to get my steps in because it was clear at the end of the office. So I would just, and still even doing that, I would go home and have like 1,500 steps for the day. I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah. So we're
well, that's a lot of trips to the water fountain.
or the water fountain's really far away.
Yeah.
We're opening some new corporate offices, and I finally have a window. I'm excited to get moved into that office so I can have a window, and it opens so I can have fresh air.
Yeah, but you'll
Or I can jump out of it. I don't know.
you'll put blinds or a curtain up.
No, I don't think so. I'm so excited to have a window that works that I can actually like open it and hear the birds chirp and like real functioning people around me, so that it won't be so. Like I'm literally in a storage closet.
My sister's first classroom, like her first year, it was very small, probably like this, I would say, almost like this room, no windows, and she said it was like her closet. Like,
It's awful. It's really awful.
you know,
But there's also really nothing I can do about it, so it is what it is.
I do have a window. I get to hear beautiful sounds. Kimball, trash truck.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest time wasters is the fact that we don't
Prioritize.
prioritize, thank you, our time in itself.
Yeah.
Like we can go about our days, we'll get up for work, we'll go to work, we'll come home, we'll make dinner, we'll lay around, watch TV, we'll get on our phone, you know, we'll do all this stuff, and we don't prioritize a plan for our life.
Yeah.
Right.
And for goals that we want to accomplish, things like that. So I think you can blow through a work week, and besides whatever it is you do at work, you don't really accomplish much.
Yeah, because you're just
I mean,
working for the weekend.
And I'm not counting mowing the lawn or all the stuff you have to do.
What's that song? Working for the weekend.
But you could blow a lot of hours that you could be spending working on whatever it is that your goal is, or things that you want to better in yourself, or Bible time or anything. Just because you just allow yourself. You haven't planned your day properly. You're not you're not disciplined to plan your day.
My
I can
parents.
say,
No, go ahead.
in the wintertime, it's so much worse.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
It's dark
for sure.
at 5:30,
Definitely.
and it's cold outside. For me, it's just pure laziness.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Literally just pure laziness. I sit down. There's 168 hours in the week. I work 68 to 74 hours a week, so that leaves me 96. If I sleep 8 hours a night, that leaves me 40.
And that's if.
If you sleep 8 hours.
Do we actually,
No, most of us not.
I
6
do.
to 8. I try.
I need
I
it.
try to.
So
Yeah.
then it leaves 40 hours.
Yeah.
Well, then you've got church, you've got podcasts, you've got Bible study, you've got women's meetings, you've got conferences.
Yeah. What time do you have to actually accomplish anything?
You know, you got dad wanting to drive to the farm to get a ticket. That was 4 hours in the car. But it was time with
Yeah,
dad.
but that was quality time.
It was quality time with dad. So, but yeah, just
So one of the things that I think is important when you talk about that is, so you said not counting like mowing the lawn and things you have to do. The problem is I have so many things that I try to squeeze in a day, but then when I get home, like last night I got home and I sat down on the couch and that's where I was. You know what I mean? And I knew I had other work to do, but then what did I do at 7:30? Decided I was going to try to get all that work done before I went to bed.
Yeah.
So now I'm
You hyper focused for an hour.
Yep. For an hour, I'm hyper focused on the work that I have to do. And guess what? It's either not right or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
It's messy.
yeah, it's sloppy and just chaotic. So yeah, it is. It's really hard, especially with ADD. You just can't focus on anything for any.
Yeah.
I mean,
You push it off, and then
I'll seriously be sitting in front of my computer for an hour thinking that I'm working hard. And then I look down at my list and I've accomplished nothing on that list, or very small things.
Right.
But somehow managed to get the dishes done in the meantime. Like I don't know how it happened. I don't
throw the laundry.
It's rough.
Do the dishes.
Well, and then I'll walk to the basement. I'm like, you know what? I need to get creamer for my coffee. So I'll go to the basement to get an extra creamer out of that refrigerator, and then I'll throw in a load of laundry while I'm down there. But then I'll go back upstairs without the creamer.
Yes. Yeah.
And then sit down and go, why did I go to the basement in the first? Oh, yeah, creamer. And I have to make another trip back down.
Yes.
It's crazy.
That way you get your steps in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Crickets?
No, they're not on there. I asked.
One thing, we always make fun of my parents because they've been getting off at like 2:30 or 3:30 for years, like both of them. Or she was like a stay-at-home mom for a while. But we'd always make fun because even when we were like growing up, we would eat like right after we got home, like dinner, you know. But then, and still to this day, they'll be out there. They've probably pushed it to 3:30 or 4 now to eat.
Wow.
But they'll, you know, they're eating, say 3:30, and they're like, all right, what are you going to do tonight? Like, and like, that's their way of like, they kind of regroup in the middle of the day and then they do something, whether it's together or separate until like 7:30. And then, you know, then it's time to like
go to bed,
wind down and whatnot. But it's kind of nice that they're like, they kind of have a plan. Like it's every night. They're like, all right, what do you have planned? Well, I was thinking of going to Menards. Do you want to go with me? You know, so
we have that too. It's called my kids' social schedule.
Yeah.
I usually call Alyssa on my drive home. How many things do we have to do tonight? Like, where do we have to be? And a lot of times, especially Wednesdays, Thursdays, things like that, when I know I'm also going to be here, I'll call her and say, or ask her on my drive home, where do you need me to be tonight? Like, who do I need to pick up? Who do I need to drop off? Where are they at? You know, it's crazy the amount of things. My kids have more socialization than my wife and I have. Like we're grown adults, but we have 3 birthday parties this weekend. We have a Friday birthday party, a Saturday birthday party, and a Sunday birthday party. Like, and I don't want to go to any of them. I don't want to go to none of them.
You probably weren't invited.
Well,
probably the kids were.
That is true. I wasn't, but my wife makes me go because she doesn't want to be there by herself. So I still have to attend said birthday party. Not happy about it, but I go.
Yeah, well, it's just the way it is.
It's
when
the
you're
way
married.
it is. Yep. The episode Alyssa and I just recorded of our podcast together it's titled "Agree to Disagree," and we talk about some of those things on there. So, yeah, it's part of being married. It's part of having kids. Part of being an adult.
Because then when they leave the house forever, or you will miss them.
She always says to me, I always tell her, if we just think about it, like on Sunday afternoons, it's just her and I. Usually my parents take the kids. It's just her and I. Hold on one second. I have to break away. Remind me to tell that story when I come back.
We'll put a pin in it.
So ladies, what does the Bible say about idleness? Help me out. I know there's something in there, but
they didn't like the
I didn't like any of those verses, so
didn't really fit.
I'll have to find it for you.
Huh?
It didn't really fit.
It did.
Nope, it didn't.
It didn't.
The one I found was Ephesians 5:11-16. Don't waste your time on useless work, mere busy work, the barren pursuits of darkness. It just really didn't fit, but basically,
well, don't waste your time.
Don't waste your
Don't waste your time. Yeah.
well, just idleness can lead to a lot of things in your life that are probably not good for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, just, Facebook, for example. You know, you're scrolling through Facebook and then...
Oh, and a recipe pops up. Oh, well, let's look at this recipe. And then another recipe pops up.
30 minutes later, you're like, how did I get here?
And all you've looked at is recipes.
Yeah.
And you didn't make a single one of them.
Yeah. As I look at the items, that's not my cupboard, that's not my cupboard, and I'm not buying that.
Yeah. That's way too expensive to buy.
I don't like this.
Yeah, and then Proverbs 6:10 says a little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of your hands to rest, then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I like that one.
In other words, if you don't go to work, you're going to be poor.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't try to sleep more than 8 hours.
the cost of things now, you're still poor.
Yeah.
Right.
Why couldn't it have been if you don't vacation in the Bahamas?
Yeah, no kidding.
You will.
Right?
Yeah.
You will be poor and destitute.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem
I'm
fair.
just like, I don't have the answer. Can we take the pen out of your?
Yeah, but I don't remember what story I was even telling.
You're talking about your podcast with Alyssa, but it might have been after that.
It was after that.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go to the birthday party.
Yeah, you want to go to the birthday party.
And you probably weren't invited.
Then you said, be right back.
I don't remember.
Darn.
That's what happens when you get old.
I know. Oh, trust me, I know.
It's like the people that are listening now, they can just go back and say, oh, well, he was talking about this, but we can't do that.
Yeah. We rely on our memories, which are not good. I don't think anybody at the table has a good memory.
If you had your phone hooked up, they could call in and say, he was talking about...
Well, it's not live. They can't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we need to go live.
Oh, can you imagine that mess?
Oh, but so fun.
Oh, boy. We used to do that. That was how we did it before all the time. Yeah. It was always live when we first started.
Yeah, I was telling Cindy, I told my stepmom, like, because she said... well, do you guys edit it? And I said, no, like we have kind of like a software system that edits little things whenever we upload it, but we don't really cut anything out. And I said, we did, start out live. And I'm like, I can't even remember why we stopped that. But YouTube, I was going to say the YouTube part of it, the tech wasn't the best. And
well, we couldn't hear what it was how it was actually uploaded.
Yes.
At the time. So, like, remember we had a couple of episodes where people were texting us, telling us the audio was garbage.
Yeah. Can't hear you.
Yeah, and because it was all wirelessly uploading, and so when you didn't have a good connection, you couldn't keep it going. Oh, you want to talk about wasting time? Some of that stuff was a giant waste. I can't tell you. Even Roger and I were just cleaning up the sound booth today. If I told you, if I could calculate the amount of time I have wasted on technology in this building, you would be astounded. The podcast or the live stream, we've done 3 different ways, 3 different times. And every time we've ended up stopping because either you don't have the knowledge, like the skill set in other people to run it on Sunday morning, or it becomes so cumbersome or expensive that you just can't keep it afloat. I remember when we first started doing live stream, how were we doing it? We were paying, oh my gosh, through this I don't even remember the name of the company we were using, but it was like $59 a month to use to be able to like live stream, and we were using a cell phone mounted to the sound booth to live stream, and it looked like a Bin Laden capture video. It did. It was
we still had the light.
Yeah, we still have the ring light. So at one point, the ring light was set up in the front of the sanctuary, and like it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And we got a little bit better, and we upgraded, and we were able to do everything from the booth. Then
we put the camera,
mounted a camera on the wall, which was powered with an extension cord. if Beth wants to know that,
there's no doubt in my mind.
And then we ran it to this little thing called a YOLO box, which was
YOLO box.
YOLO.
Oh.
YOLO.
Which was super handy at the time. But again, that was what was streaming wirelessly, uploading wirelessly. And so it would break connection, and then you would lose half of whatever you were doing. And you couldn't like monitor the audio. So you had no idea what the sound sounded like. It was just whatever it was. And then I tried another thing called OBX. And it worked really well, but it's very in-depth, and you have to have somebody super tech savvy to be able to run it. And so we finally just said, you know what? We're going to record the audio, turn them into a podcast, and that's how we're going to do it. So if you want to listen to that one, just look for Rewind Organic Church, which, another fun story. Has anybody ever looked at the logo for that?
It's a tape.
The cassette tape.
It's an old cassette tape with an ink pen.
Yeah.
Because that's how you would rewind the tape. The ink pen.
Sure did.
No, you should have had a pencil there.
A pencil.
Pencil worked better.
So here was if you look at that pen, it's one of those plastic ones that would have been like 6-sided. It's like I was very intentional about the pen that I used in that logo. But I was going to say, about a month ago, I was cleaning out one of the spaces in the building, and I found old cassette tapes from the 90s that have sermons on them. Now, I have tried to extract some of those. I only found one that had any usable audio, and the tape broke. So I wasn't able to get it, but I'm still working through all of those tapes to see if anything has any usable audio. I know at least one does because I tried it a while back and it worked. So it's just figuring out, is it on the A side or the B side, and where at on the tape was it recorded? And so trying to figure that out, but I'm excited to see if we can get anything off of those.
How many did you throw away over the weekend?
I didn't throw any of them away. I kept
the ones that
I kept them because
at the garage.
Yeah, I kept them because I wasn't sure if they had anything on
flip
them.
On the other side.
Yeah, but again, that'll be an absolute waste of my time. Like,
Yeah.
I'll find myself for hours obsessing over that project. I can't tell you when I first took over, I tried to digitize all of Florence's sermons. I spent, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months just burning those or copying those onto my computer. And then the SD or the flash drive that I put them on corrupted and they were all lost. Every one of them.
But you still had the...
Nope. I gave them all to family members.
Who may or may not have misplaced.
Yes, who may or may not have misplaced them. We're not talking about you, Alva. Of course we're not.
But she moved. She packed them away.
It's not her.
They're safe.
It's not her. Yeah, she has them. She just doesn't know for sure where they are.
Yeah.
Where did I put them?
Yeah.
Tote.
Yeah. Eventually we'll find them. But hopefully the audio recordings will get better over time. You know, there are some Sundays that we would record and they would be complete loss. Even now, but new equipment. And again, just trying to, but we have spent countless hours working on technology in this building, and it doesn't change the ministry just to have good tech. Now, does it feel better to have good tech, something that works the way that it's supposed to and does all of the things? Absolutely. But at the same time, we realize we can't hang our hat on it. We can't spend all of our time focused on just that. So.
Oh, he's pushing buttons.
I am pushing buttons because something's not right here.
You have everything turned on.
Oh, yeah, it's on.
Well, I see the lights are on. Okay. Doesn't mean anybody's home.
Yeah, I think here's my problem. I don't know what this is.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to be over here touching buttons, and eventually I'm just going to break something. How about that?
You
Does
just
that
got
work?
that
Hey,
new toy.
hey,
Don't
it's
break
your-
it.
Yeah, it's your toy. You can break it if you like.
Turn that off.
Ooh, let me touch
there
it.
we go. Okay. No, Roger's not allowed to touch any tech. None.
Yeah, we're pretty fancy. It's like, what is that called? That's not a sound bar. What is that?
This is.
I can't hear you.
I know. Hold on. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to figure out what, like, this. If I turn off, hot dog.
Yeah, that's a little loud.
Hot
That-
mic.
It's got a touch screen on it.
So before, just to describe what this room looked like before, at one point there was a computer on the floor, a computer in front of me, an 8-channel soundboard.
16 buttons over here.
Yeah. Then I had like this little.
We still have cords everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
okay.
we'll clean this
We can
up.
do
We
that.
just needed to make sure this worked. But there was a little box mounted under the table that controlled all of our headphones, and now it's all in one box, and it's portable. It actually this thing
And it's small.
this thing
it
will
is.
run on AA batteries too.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, right now it's plugged in, but it can run on AA batteries, so it's kind of handy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
put an extension cord.
and oh, hold on, it didn't work. And see, I was so excited. Here.
How long did it take you to put that one on?
I didn't have to.
It
That
was
one comes
pre-programmed?
pre-programmed. Yeah. So that one and this one's fun. I like that one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when we have a special bulletin.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When we do a news broadcast, here's this one. Yeah. No, all sorts of fun stuff on here.
Breaking news.
This just in. They're all crazy.
The Margie report.
We should
Which,
do
by the
that.
way, yeah,
We should do that.
The
By the
Margie
way-
memo.
I have sad news.
Oh no.
Our turtle died.
Oh, no.
I went out to mow the grass
You didn't hit it
last
with the mower?
Friday.
Did you take him out with the mower?
No, I was looking for him and he wasn't in his usual spot. I'm like, where is he? And he was just off to the left. And as soon as I came up on him, I was like, something's not right.
Oh.
His little legs were sticking out and his head was sticking out. I was like,
Was he on
his back.
on his back?
So I picked him up and
Just everything just kind of went.
his eyeballs were gone. So I was like, oh man.
Oh, them birds got him.
A bird.
You know what? I bet it's the birds Margie saved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Margie?
Yeah. They poked his eyeballs out.
So yeah, and I was more broken up about that one than she was.
Well, yeah, because it kind of like that was a weird one to have move in.
Yeah, so maybe he stuck around because he knew he was
He wasn't going to make it.
yeah, and he just needed a little safe spot to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Margie can appreciate this. At work, we have a pond out in front of our building, but it's not ours. It belongs to the Christmas shop just across the street, but it's their pond, but it's like in between our parking lots. And then we have a pond out behind our hotel, and there's a snapping turtle. Have you ever seen one of those 55-gallon drums, those great big metal drums? Have you ever seen the lid that goes on one of those? He's as big as those lids. He's humongous.
We make good soup.
Humongous. And once a year, he makes his way from that front pond out to the back pond. And we always look forward to it because he'll just stop in the middle of the road. He don't care. So the first year he did it, my assistant general manager thought he was just going to pick him up. Not thinking that he's a snapping turtle and can turn his head backwards and just about get a hold of you. So this year we had to push him out of the way with a snow shovel to get him, because he'll just stop in the middle of the road and sit there and look at you. He does not care. Does not care.
And if you try to do something, he's snapping at you.
Yeah, but he's a big boy. And he looks like a dinosaur. He looks prehistoric. He's like mossy and like he's got all. It's really cool.
I wonder if he thinks it's a time waster, like his speed.
Yeah. He just hangs out. Like, he'll get in the middle of the road and sit there for a couple hours and then toddle a little further.
Well, he's producing a benefit. He's moving from one pond
to the next.
True. It's not like he's not doing anything.
I've been trying to figure out: is there a reason for that mini migration? Is there like maybe a female snapping turtle in the other pond?
Checking out the new lady moved in down.
Yeah.
How much fish are in these ponds?
Well, it's not a lot, but enough that he could go there and eat for sure. For sure. So, yeah.
Cool.
Kind of fun.
So we start. This one's so stupid, but very true. So the Uricsville water is terrible, as we all know. And we used to just do like the Brita pitchers. Well, now we're going through so much water because then you'd have to change the filters.
Oh, yeah.
So we started doing like the reverse osmosis, like in those 5-gallon. And I've just been going over to barbells and like doing it that way because that's the cheapest, but it takes so long because you like put 35 cents in and then it gives you a gallon. You do it again. And I have 4 or 5 gallons, so I have to do it 20 times.
And you have to like change like 35 cents. No, thank you. It doesn't take card.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I guess for 35 cents, the fee on that wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, but luckily, like Chase uses cash a lot, so we have a ton of change anyway. But yeah, it's just like you're sitting there and you just because you don't want to waste time, so you're just waiting to put in the extra 35 cents. Yeah. But it's a lot cheaper. So, yeah.
I think I just buy the distilled water for the baby.
I know. But I will say, I was going to say, we were buying like the 24 packs of like bottled water forever for like $3.79. And heck, that's cheap, you know, for the 24 pack. And I think it's like $5.50 or less to do 20 gallons. Yeah. You know? Right. So, yeah.
You come out to my house.
Yeah.
I'll sell you water.
Yeah.
Well, they say that bottled water, and I don't know how true this is, so nobody get
It just comes from a hole in the ground.
No, that like if you go get the Walmart bottled water, if you look at it, it tells you that it's bottled from a tap. So like they've got a factory somewhere, they just fill up bottles and then they sell it to us, and we think it's better than the junk we're drinking out of our tap at home.
All these kids are like, hurry up.
Yeah, right. Like, and who would have ever thought that we would be buying water in a bottle? Because, growing up, we drank it out of the garden hose. It didn't matter where it came from. Yep. Like, what was it? BPAs that everybody's worried about? Like, we didn't worry about that.
Yeah.
Like,
and we've all survived.
Yeah. We just drink it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe that's why we don't have peanut allergies. I don't know.
Chase's brothers, they were both in Colorado, like living, and they have like some of the best water out there because I think it's the Rocky Mountains.
That's where the Coors Light's made.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Rocky Mountains.
Oh, Roger.
Yeah. But even they wouldn't even drink our water from our like Brita thing, like because they were like, it still tastes like Uricsville water, and I'm like, I just changed the filter, like it shouldn't, and because they're like spoiled with that water.
Yeah. I think all water tastes like dirt, with the exception of like Fiji or I don't mind core water. I don't mind those.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, like a cheap bottle of water, like if you go buy
like Ducini,
any of those, I think they all taste like dirt. They smell like dirt. You open them and you smell them and they smell like dirt.
It comes from the ground.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't. I might as well drink it out of the tap.
You might as well.
Yeah. We do drink ours out of the fridge a lot. And we always think that little filter in the fridge helps. I'm like, I
Do you ever change the filter?
We don't have a choice. Ours will stop dispensing water if you don't change the filter,
well, that's cool.
which is obnoxious because the filter is $55 and you can't put an off-brand in. You put an off-brand in and it will not work.
Wow.
We tried that. Yeah, $55 for a filter and I get like 12 glasses of water out of it.
That's almost, I mean, it's not equivalent, but whenever you have a printer and it needs
ink,
ink
throw it away, buy a new printer. It's cheaper. Yeah, ink's $75. The printer cost me $22.
Right.
How does that make any sense? When we bought the new church printer, we bought it that way for, like, when we looked at it, we wanted to make sure that the toner was affordable.
Right.
We have a laser printer at home, colored laser printer. This thing is phenomenal. But it costs $900 to replace the ink. It's $1,000 to buy a new toner for that printer. So it's been telling us that it's out of toner for probably 3 months. We just keep printing on it. And then we buy the off-brand, of course, but it doesn't print nearly as nice.
How long does one of those last?
Well, for us at home, forever. I mean, we get 3 years out of it.
Okay.
Because it's not like we're printing a lot. But sometimes Alyssa will print like Kidsmen stuff at home, and then, you might run out of red or whatever.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think like standing in line, just in general, like whether that's in a drive-through or at a grocery store. But I think there's kind of some good in that because you kind of come across like people that you wouldn't necessarily talk to. Like if you DoorDash that or if you ordered that online, like you wouldn't be able to have that human interaction with them one-on-one, like to actually plant a seed if it came available to do so.
But in fairness, we don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Everybody's in a hurry.
Look at the world. We don't want to interact with people. That's honestly at work. We take less phone calls than we've ever taken, and we do everything through chat support.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you have to call to make a reservation, you won't make a reservation.
Right.
You're going to book with somebody who will book online. And I'll give you a prime example of that. I've been trying to get my hair cut for a week. Okay. I was supposed to get it cut last week, but things went sideways and I had to be available. So I didn't get my hair cut. So I text my guy who doesn't have online booking. You have to call or text him. So I sent him a text and I said, hey, anything next Tuesday? Hadn't heard back from him, which is a little frustrating for me because I need a haircut. So then I text somebody else who cuts hair. Didn't hear back from him. Found out they're on vacation. That's fine. Whatever.
Was it your neighbor?
Yes.
I almost said, ask your neighbor.
Yeah, he was on vacation. So I haven't heard back from him yet, which is fine. Like I'm not, when you're on vacation, you're on vacation. So then I went to book online with the guy who I used to get my hair cut. He doesn't have anything available for almost 3 weeks. So I was desperate. And Pastor Tommy Miller from Legacy Church tagged somebody and said, this guy's legit. Anybody who wants their haircut should try him. I immediately sent him a message. I'm like, dude, do you have anything open? He's like, next Tuesday, 4:00. You got it, dude. I was so excited. But if I would have had to have called him, like I wasn't calling anybody.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have gotten my haircut. I just eventually just shaved it myself, right?
No, you wouldn't have.
No, I wouldn't have. Well, I might have, but my wife would have killed
You
me.
got your Elvis wig.
Yeah, exactly. Just shave it off, put on the wig, and wear the wig everywhere. Yeah.
I will say when I worked at the dentist office, they had like communication preferences. And, if it was like a text message, I'm like, perfect. You know, like if I'd call to schedule an appointment, but then it's like if they preferred a phone call, I'm like,
here we go. Yeah, but we don't want that human interaction anymore. We go out of our way to avoid that. And again, look at DoorDash, look at grocery deliveries, look at all of the ways that we will do things digitally versus...
I mean, same thing with like self-checkout. Like you're completely avoiding someone that way.
Or you'd rather talk to all these people online rather than the people in your own community.
Well, and I don't think it's necessarily that we want to avoid them. I think that businesses have created this system of saving themselves money by creating this self-checkout. They don't have to hire manpower.
Right.
And so then we get accustomed to that. We get used to that. And then like you said, we would rather share... Like I have friends that are in other countries on social media. I've got Elvis tribute artists from around the world that I'm friends with on social media that I interact more with than I do the people that I live across the street from.
Right.
I have one guy who lives in Arizona. One Elvis tribute artist lives in Arizona. And I talk to him regularly. The neighbor across the street from me, I avoid at all costs.
Yeah, well, never mind.
It's just one of those, it's weird how we've gotten to that point in life. We only want to talk to people who have the same interest as us. And again, whenever you didn't travel much beyond Uhrichsville or New Philly, growing up, Canton was a treat. To drive to Canton was a treat.
It still is for me because Chase has a fence around Twin Cities. I can't get him past. I'm not lying.
Attaboy, Chase.
It's funny.
You're my kind of guy.
It's a good thing to some degree because you want to support your local community. But at the same time, if Chase wanted to get so the hot water tank blew out here at the church. For those of you who didn't know, for the council member sitting in the room, I'm about to spend a bunch of money to get the hot water tank fixed, just so you know. But I mean, it was like a river running out of the bottom of this thing. We have no idea how long it had been running because none of us knew. Wow. Courtney and Tyler caught it when they went to clean up from a paint job they were working on. So we have no idea how, and it was running cold at that point. So it had been a minute.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that if he wanted to get a 50-gallon hot water tank in Yorksville or Denison, it's almost impossible to do because those big box stores have killed all of those little mom and pop shops. Now, does MHS exists? Yes, it does. But I bet the hot water tank at MHS is twice as much as it would be if you went to Lowe's or Menards.
Yeah, because he's at MHS probably 3-4 times a day, but he's still like if he has to do a water tank, he has to go to Menards or Lowe's.
Yep,
and they don't.
And even if he can get it from them, it's probably not in stock. It has to be ordered. Which now it's not going to be in until Thursday or whatever. It's crazy to think about how the big box and how we've traveled out, we've branched out into other areas, that it's killed all of the local entertainment. It's amazing to me that, what's that movie theater in Philly?
The Quaker?
The Quaker still exists.
Yeah.
Because they've pretty much been swallowed up by all of the big box theaters, which honestly are all dying off now as well. Nobody's going to the movies because you can stream it online in 5 days.
Yeah. But they were closed for several years.
Yeah.
I think, don't they have historical status now?
I'm not sure.
I think they do.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I went there when I was a kid.
Now, are they like, not necessarily protected, but like, do they have an advantage of staying open?
I think so.
Okay.
They may get some sort of funding.
I was going to say like funding wise.
Interesting.
It's cheap to go to the movies there too.
It's $5.
If Chase and I go to a movie, it's there.
Yeah, we're the same way. We went
because again, the fence. He won't go if he can.
I'm going to guess the funding helped. When they kind of brought back the old marquee and they put new seats.
I was going to say the seats.
So I think that helped pay for all that.
We took the kids to see Wonka, the new Wonka movie there. And we get into the theater. Adeline wasn't feeling well that morning, but she was like up and running and feeling good. And we're like, okay, well, we're going to keep our plans and we're going to go see Wonka. So she's sitting at the seat to the furthest inside against the wall that you can get. Alyssa's out buying snacks and she needs to go to the bathroom. So I get her out. She pukes all over the floor in the lobby. I mean, all over the floor. So Alyssa's like, we're just going to leave. She's like, but they gave her vouchers to go back, which was super nice of them since they didn't get to see the movie. They gave them vouchers. Yeah. But I felt bad because, my daughter, she's puked in the lobby. And I'm sitting in here enjoying a movie. But her and Alyssa went down and charged the Tesla and they picked us up after the movie, whatever. But, what's crazy is that when we take the kids, it's the only time we use that movie theater. Otherwise, Alyssa and I go somewhere in Canton because we want the reclining seats and we want to be able to order our food.
But it's also more expensive.
Way more expensive.
Yeah.
And for what? Like, I need a reclining seat for an hour and a half. I think I can survive.
Those heated seats, I fall asleep every time I watch a movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't turn these on.
I don't need a heated seat. I fall asleep.
You're paying $20 for a nap.
Yeah. Well, I keep telling my massage therapist that she should do that. I said, here's what you should do. Charge me double and let me sleep for an hour afterward.
Yep.
You put the cups on. When you come in and take the cups off, you just quietly leave and let me sleep for an hour and I'll pay for 2 slots. Just let me nap for an hour.
Yeah.
Seems unfair. That's another thing, though, that I will say that, so we talk about things that are wastes of our time. That, to me, is probably one of the best ways that I can spend my time. And I know it sounds silly, but a massage for me is incredibly relaxing and it's helpful for my body. So I find that to be one of the most fruitful things that I do. But I spend $100. Like it costs $100 to do that.
Yeah.
Once a month, it's $100 and you just set it on fire.
Fine. In the summertime, just give me a raft and let me float.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that some of those things, it's good for the body to just get like some of that relaxing, whatever it is. Now, I'll tell you, like Alyssa and I have a newfound, it's not newfound, but we have a love for being in the flower beds at home. Like it's just her and I just go out there. She brings her pruning shears out and she's trimming stuff off to take in the house and put on the table. But we're just out there together. And so while I used to look at working in the flower beds as a giant waste of time, I'm like, this is such a waste of time. And I have to put mulch down again this year. Like, why are we doing this? But it is really nice to be able to spend time with her. So we've been finding new ways to adjust our schedules so that we can be together more. So.
Well, another big time waster is worrying about things we cannot change.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or trying to, like the people pleaser, trying to change someone's mind, and you're not going to change it. And,
I remember when the church was financially strapped. I remember how much Alyssa and I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, like we worried constantly about, and finally I looked at her and I said, we're not doing this anymore. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I'm just going to tell everybody on Sunday, it's either we figure it out or we're closing the church. Like it's too hard on us to be constantly trying to figure out what we're going to pay and what we're not going to pay. It was stressful.
Well, and it was constantly changing because...
Well, today you would get a $600 offering, and then in 2 weeks you would get a $3,000 offering, but that $3,000 offering only caught you up on all the bills you hadn't paid.
Right.
It was so stressful. And I know that when we finally had that Sunday morning, we'd posted on our social media that we were not going to live stream that Sunday. We were going to have an in-house service. And somebody was like, oh, well, God would want everyone to hear what you have to say. And I'm thinking maybe so, but I don't. Because it's a little embarrassing to be in that place post-COVID that we can't even survive. And it was amazing how when we were finally just honest about it, like we can't fix this, we can't change this, how it fixed itself. Like we just said, whatever God is going to do, he's going to do it. And we're not going to stress ourselves with it.
Yeah.
And he fixed it. Like fixed it. It wasn't like, oh, he put a Band-Aid on it. Like, it was resolved within a month. I mean, it was really back to a good place. So thankful for that. Yeah. But worrying is definitely a giant waste of time.
Yep.
Don't borrow tomorrow's troubles.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't remember where that's at.
I'll pay you.
It's in there.
I'll pay you tomorrow for a hamburger. People pleasing has been something that I used to be really bad about. I don't do it anymore. Like I love everybody that attends this. I love just about everybody that I interact with. But here's my deal. If you can't understand that I can't give you time at every waking moment of the day, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's a you problem, not a me problem.
That's right.
Like my day is full, and like I have to set boundaries at some point in order to be able to spend time with my family, to be able to like just take a sigh of relief.
Pour into them.
Yes, right. So I don't stress about that anymore.
No.
Margie and I take walks in the cemetery, and I remember telling her one time, I said, you see all these people? I said, they all had lives. They all had loved ones. And they all had their hopes and dreams. I said, and now nobody cares.
Yeah.
I said, nobody cares now about maybe a few people that still remember them, that care about them.
Right.
But other than that, nobody cares. And there's probably things in their life that they didn't do because they worried about what somebody was going to think.
Yeah.
Or they just, they had their own fears and they couldn't overcome it. And for what? And so you have to live your life like that because someday you'll be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you want to try something, if you want to accomplish something, don't worry about what other people are going to think about it. I mean, put yourself into what you're going to do because, 100 years from now, nobody's going to care.
Nope.
I mean, even our most famous people, for the most part, nobody cares what they've done or what they haven't done.
Well, I think that we oftentimes get to a point where we feel like we need to make a name for ourselves. And I think about that specifically with local authorities who like run villages and cities and they feel like they need their name on a street sign or whatever the case may be because that gives them status or clout or they'll be remembered forever. And I was just thinking, I think the municipal court in New Philly is like the John Knisley Municipal Court building.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, who is John Knisley?
Right.
He got his name on a building. But,
or the highways,
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like the intent behind that I think is not behind trying to get your name on a sign, but when they name a highway after a corporal or whomever who like I understand that there's some value in that, but at the end of the day, who is going home and Googling these names and trying to figure out who these people are? The answer is nobody. Yeah. Like the only time I have ever done that, have you guys ever driven up the highway towards Dover and there's a sign on that semi truck that says, "Who is John Galt?"
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Has anybody Googled it? I did because I couldn't take it anymore. I still don't know who he is. I still haven't figured it out.
Maybe it's a fictitious character.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think there's nobody like we're not.
Yeah, I was gonna say back in the day.
Back in my day,
when I was growing up and there wasn't smartphones or tablets. Like as you're a kid, like you're looking through, and I mean I can remember reading those signs like. And then now there was computers, so you could go home and like put in who it was. And I think I've done that like one time, but
I had to pull out the encyclopedia.
Yeah. That's if you even had
Galt,
one, you know?
Galt, John Galt.
G.
Yeah. Which one is this?
Hopefully those people on those signs had a life that, you know, they felt fulfilled. They did what they wanted to do. They accomplished their goals.
Yeah. Well, maybe somebody thought that they were important.
Yeah, maybe. And that's true, too.
I'm sure.
Well,
yes.
But if you live your life just thinking like, I'm only going to do things to please people.
Yes.
And I've got plenty of things that I want to do, but if I don't do what they think I should do, that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. And my sister's, I mean, she's 24 and she has a person that she graduated with he's not really in, the city office or anything, but that's he'd like to eventually, and he's already just so consumed, like, and almost has anxiety about what he should do and not do, just like normal, just going out and about, going to dinner. Like I mean, when she told me that, I'm like, man, like,
well, because you think about if you live your life that way. Okay. So let's say that you are an incredibly conservative person and you want to go out to dinner, but you want to run for public office. If you go somewhere that is maybe LGBTQ friendly, you would fear somebody seeing you there and supporting that place and say, "Oh well," do you know, like
that was him 10 years ago, and
because that's what the world wants you to like. That's how the world will make you
want you to think.
Right, you will be perceived a certain way, and so you have to protect that. Here's what I've realized: I don't have to protect who I am or what I'm made for, as long as I am doing what I believe God has called me to do.
Right.
And that's where you stop wasting time and focus on what really matters. But it's hard. It's easy to say. It's hard to do.
Oh yeah,
it's really hard to do. So,
and that's great advice for young people. Young people, you have your whole life ahead of you. There's really nothing to stop you. So don't, as we were talking about, don't be idle in your younger years, right? And that's one thing I could tell my younger self is, hey, keep pushing.
Yeah.
Focus more on what it is you really want to do. Don't waste time, just wasting hours that have no meaning. It's just really put everything, whatever your object is, put all your energy into that one object and try to, make it happen and put God first in your life as you're doing that. Because I mean, I'm 44. I don't even know how old I am anymore, but I can think I was just 24, 20 years ago, which that wasn't that long ago, and it wasn't. But it's like, goes by so fast. And you hear that as a kid. Yeah, it's going to go by fast, and you don't believe it. But it is true.
I tried to tell my kids that, my two oldest. So they have an every other weekend schedule, but we allow them to kind of choose when they want to come. I mean, they're older. They're both, Aiden will be a freshman this year. Aaron will be a sophomore this coming year. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, he's a sophomore this coming year. He was a freshman this year. I lose track. But I haven't seen Aiden in a month. And so I sent him a text and I was like, hey, I understand you guys have friends and things that you're doing, but don't forget about us. You're growing up fast and we won't get to see that.
Yeah.
But not in a, like, I'm trying to make them feel guilty, but like, you can't explain that to kids because they don't believe it until it's too late. And it's not until they're in their 40s that they realize my dad was right. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'm starting to realize it when like Mal just graduated. I remember like when Cindy had Mal, like, I mean, I can remember going up there because she was in the NICU like for 3 days maybe, and like up there for a week tops. But I mean, I remember that. I remember her coming home. Like I remember all of that. I'm like, man, that was 18 years ago. Yep. So just.
I heard the mother of my oldest two children, when her and I were together, her sister had a baby. And I just heard a couple of days ago that he graduated college. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not connected to him anymore, but you don't think about how fast time is actually moving.
Especially since you're not connected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You hear you graduated college and you're like, it really has been that many years.
And the older you get, the faster they go.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, it just seems like, you get up, you go to work, it's time to go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
I was
going to say, Sid, I think maybe you and I have talked about this, but there's a statistic somewhere. The math works somehow that if you start investing when you're in your 20s versus when you're in your 30s, so a 10-year difference,
10 years.
you can retire a millionaire if you were to start in your 20s versus in your 30s.
Yeah.
And it's a significant difference.
In my 20s, I thought I couldn't afford it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And you realize,
but I could not have started.
Imagine if you would have done that, like you could have retired earlier and you could have, like, all of the things you could have done. And so Alyssa and I have talked about, well, how are we going to do that for our kids? How are we going to help our kids to understand that? And one of the things I told her is, 18 is kind of that like fly the nest style mentality. I think what we're going to do is we're going to turn the bottom half of the house into mini apartment, basically. And let's say Aaron wants to move into that. That's great. We're going to charge him $200 a month and we're just going to keep that money. And then when he is older and wants to buy a house, we can hand that to him as a down payment for a house, or he can invest that and then have something to start. Because it doesn't matter how many times you tell somebody that age, they don't they think you're crazy. Even if you show them the math, most of them will think that you're crazy. And again, can't afford it. Can't afford to do that.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me when I first started working, pay yourself first.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was like, what, you mean buy all the things I want?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put so much a percentage of your paycheck back every week, every 2 weeks, and keep it. Well, of course, I didn't do that. But and then you always think you have time.
Oh, absolutely.
You think
and
you'll
then
have
you're
time
40,
for that later.
And you're like, oh, I haven't started that yet.
You know what's funny is this is a bad habit of mine, and I can always rationalize in my brain. Okay, so all right, I want this. I'll buy it now and I'll pay it off with my next bonus check. Well, that bonus check comes and I'm like, well,
you're geared up for something else.
Yeah, I don't really need to pay because the payment's not that much.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the money that I thought that I was going to have, I don't have anymore.
Yeah.
And so it just, it's really hard. But I think we waste our time wanting and desiring more tangible items versus... and I don't want to get like all gushy and say, we want the physical, we waste time wanting that rather than the emotional or the spiritual
quality.
But it's true. Like we focus less on
the short run, not on the long run.
Correct. We want things that are in our hand today and make us feel good versus, and again, like even this little piece of equipment in front of me, I can rationalize buying this because I can help do podcasts here and make money there. And at the end of the day, I bought it because
what, am I not supposed to enjoy life?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse for just doing it. So
well, if you think about going to an auction after somebody's died, there's boxes and boxes of things that they've worked hard all their lives to have,
and it's going for pennies on the dollar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we'd put our treasures in heaven and not here on earth, we all have once.
I started watching this TV show, and I was maybe 15 minutes in, and I don't know what it's called, so I can't share. But it's a lady who, she must be sick and dying. Again, I'm not positive, but she's going to basically a retirement community. And she's sitting out on the sidewalk having an estate sale with all of her stuff. So all of her stuff is just out on the sidewalk, and she's got for sale signs on it.
It's not Billy Madison, is it?
No. I don't remember what it's called. I'll look it up. But this lady comes over and goes, do you know who this stuff belonged to? And she plays dumb like it's not her own stuff. And they ask how she died, and she says cancer. So I'm assuming that she has cancer and is dying, but she doesn't, I hadn't gotten to that point in the show. But anyhow, she asked the lady's name, and she was very short with her, just get out of my hair because you're on my nerves at this point. But it's funny, all of these things that she had worked for to acquire all of her life, she's watching people take them for next to nothing.
Better yet, it was the first home my dad flipped. This guy was a hoarder, but he was also a volleyball referee or officiant. And for some reason, he had a ton of records of all that, but again, had a ton of other things. And, they had to get a huge hamper for trash. I mean, they didn't even try to sell any of it because, for one, the ceiling was like leaking and a lot of stuff was already ruined. But it's like, actually, my bowling ball I got from there. But I got it drilled. And after I got it drilled, the guy was like, do you know what that could be worth if we wouldn't have drilled it?
Oh, jeez.
Why did we drill it then? He's like, I mean, I asked you if you were sure. I said, well, I thought that's what normal, are you sure you want me to do this type of thing?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, $900.
Oh.
Yeah. But now that it's drilled to my hand, it's
now
worth
you just
nothing.
now you just have a beautiful bowling ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people collect bowling balls.
They do.
That's bizarre.
It's a 1986, something
Hammer.
pearl.
Just a bowling ball that had never been drilled.
Right.
All it is to me is a bowling ball.
Mhm.
Right.
A
Yes.
huge paperweight.
It only has
Yeah.
it only has the value in which somebody is willing to pay for it, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
$900. The show is called Palms, POMS.
Palms.
Yes. And
On what?
it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Is that on TV?
Yeah. Diane Keaton is the lady who is
Selling off her stuff.
Yeah, so everybody knows who Diane Keaton
Is
is.
she wearing a turtleneck?
I think
She always wears a turtleneck.
I think
Don't
so.
even ask me why.
she is. As a matter of fact, she
Every
is.
movie, she has a turtleneck.
Yeah, she is. It's her look. It's her signature look.
Yeah.
But it says, after moving into a retirement community, loner Martha befriends a fun-loving neighbor and forms a cheerleading club for young at heart seniors. So there you go.
Okay.
It was interesting. I mean, just what little bit I watched, it was kind of fun to see it kick off. But yeah, it's
A
fun.
waste of time.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big waste.
That's another waste of time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's really interesting to think about, like you guys said, when we die, all of that stuff we've worked for,
Yeah.
all the things that we've acquired
Mm-hmm.
don't really mean anything to anybody.
Right.
I joke with my kids all the time, one day all of this will be yours. And they're like, please no.
No.
Well, I think about when I see that house down there from Papa John's. It's pretty run down. It's on Water Street, but it's got the big.
Oh,
the
it used to be a
yellow brick
nursing
house?
home.
Yeah, it used to be a
Yes.
nursing
Oh,
home.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
of course, I seen an article about it not too long ago, and I think the family that owned it was the Robinsons.
Mhm.
And I think in Union Cemetery they have one of the huge
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
mausoleums.
Yeah.
It's really old, and I think those people probably put their heart and soul into building that house
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and all that time, and now look at it.
Yeah.
Well, even my house, our house was built in 1954, something like that. But the guy who built it, he and his wife, the people we bought it from,
Mhm.
it was the house that her and her husband built.
Mm.
So they built the whole thing, ground up. You know what I mean? They poured the basement. They did everything. And then we move into it and we rip everything out of it. Like, we got the thing.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Well, but what I'm saying, though,
But-
is that, like, they
yes.
put their, like, to them, that house was perfect. It was exactly as they would have wanted it.
And you go and destroy it.
And we go in.
It happens all the time, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so think about that.
Yeah.
All of that, and all of the money that we have put into that house,
Right.
we sell it and move out. Somebody's like, nah, and just gut it.
We saw our neighbors a couple years ago put this new like on the porch fencing almost, and it looked nice. And then like the new neighbors just ripped it right off.
Yep.
And again, Chase like had to help his friend put up a hand railing just to sell it, basically.
Yep.
Well, then someone else bought it and ripped it right out. Like,
But it has to be there to sell it. So then you take it out.
exactly.
We bought our house with a first-time home buyer's loan. And so there were some things that it had to have, and it couldn't need any work. And I was thinking to myself, couldn't need any work. Like, I'll never find a house that couldn't need any
Yeah.
work. But they mean like structural or
Yes.
whatever. They don't care if it needs paint or carpet
Right,
or
right.
things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's wild to think that somebody's life. So they're like that house. I mean, the house was the color. The paint was mint green in almost the whole house. Mint green, almost the whole house. And then it had hunter green carpet. What were they thinking? And we ripped it all out
80s.
in an right. We ripped it all out in an afternoon. You know what I mean? Like it didn't suit our style. But they say that if you're going to sell your house, don't put money into it to sell it. Sell it as is and walk away from it. Because like we put new windows and doors in our house because we think we're going to stay there forever.
Right.
But otherwise, don't waste your time because you're going to do it and somebody else is going to hate it and change it. So,
or you're going to do it and then you're going to be like, oh, wait, I really like how this house is coming along.
Yeah.
Maybe we should stay.
That's what we keep saying. If we just keep putting money into it, eventually we'll fall in love with it again.
Yeah.
How many thousands of dollars later is that going to be? We, at one point, talked about blowing out the bathroom and making the bathroom bigger. And the guy said to us, the contractor said to us, he's like, I ain't doing that. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, just buy a new house. He's like, he did. He's like, just buy a new house. He said, it's not worth it. He said $30,000 to expand the bathroom. He said, just buy a new house.
Yeah.
So we didn't expand the bathroom, to say the very least.
That was when my dad was remodeling my grandparents' house. He was just, I don't know. I should have done it this way. I should have done it that way. I said, you're not the one that's going to be living in the house. Just stop thinking about it that way, you know? Yeah.
Get it done.
So your relationship with Christ is really the thing you can take with you when you go.
Good job, Nick, pulling us back in.
Yep.
Well, I think that's sometimes why I like history, because it's kind of heartbreaking, because I read about these people and they build up their whole lives, and like people in the colonial times, they built these huge, beautiful homes, and they built their whole lives around,
stuff.
I was going to say stuff like material
and
things.
Something always goes wrong, and the family loses it all, and people forget about it.
Or even if you did it to give to someone, like your kids, half the time they don't get along.
You expect to hand it on to your next kin as you go, but eventually something happens, and so now it's like you wonder, hopefully those people passed on with something more than just things, but,
One of the things that I've done for a long time is every year at Christmas we do certain things and they're traditions that I try to keep alive to pass on to the kids. And it's so funny. I was talking to Aaron the other day, and I said to him, well, which one of these Christmas traditions do you want to take with you? And like when you get older, I save all of his video games. I don't allow them to sell any of their video game systems. I keep them all, because I remember growing up, my brother would sell like his regular Nintendo to buy a Super Nintendo, and then sell a Super Nintendo to buy a Nintendo 64. And then he always wanted those back. Like, whoa, man, if I just had.
Yeah.
And so I have basically rebought all of those vintage game systems for myself, and I have just kept them for the kids. And eventually someday Aaron will want all of those. He has no idea that I have all of them, and wouldn't it be cool if I still have my Nintendo DS? Guess what? You do.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Right. So all of those cool things that he has.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about all of those Christmas traditions, and some of them are like my leg lamp from A Christmas Story. Like, we love A Christmas Story. We watch it every year. So I have my leg lamp, I have the bunny pajamas, I have the Red Ryder BB gun, like the whole bit. Like, that's one of them. We collect Swarovski crystal ornaments every year. We buy a new one every year it's got the year on it for Christmas, and we have a big display of those. We have the Polar Express train that runs around the bottom of our Christmas tree. We have, what else did we have? I don't know.
They all want the train, don't they?
Well, so they fight over the train. And I was talking to Aaron the other day, and he said, no, Dad, I think I want the pickle. You guys heard Christmas pickle?
Yeah.
So we hide the pickle. We buy one generic gift. Whoever finds the Christmas pickle gets the extra gift. And it's usually, like last year, it was what's that game that has like the T and you have the little hook?
Oh, yeah.
So that's all it was.
Ring toss.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was nothing major. But they all like spent the entire morning hunting for that.
Now, do you hide it in the tree?
It has to be in the Christmas decorations. So it may not be in the tree. It may be in a wreath on the door or whatever, but it has to be in Christmas decorations.
Ours was always in the tree, and sometimes it was hard to find.
Well, so we bought a pickle that is it's tiny. It's not like it's tiny.
That's a German thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what's funny is I would have never thought that would be like, I probably paid $3 for that. It's one of those, what are they're real shiny, and do you know what I'm talking about? These Christmas ornaments that are, they're a little bit on the tacky side, but that's what it is. I would have never thought that would be one that one of my kids would go, I want that one.
Yeah.
But the memory with that one is much greater than the memory with the other ones. Like, they remember the leg lamp every year at Christmas. This is not a joke, by the way. Every year at Christmas, I put the leg lamp up in the middle window, and I make everybody come out in the street and look at it. Every year.
You should see what it looks like from out here.
Yeah, you should see what it looks like from out here. Yeah, I make everybody go out in the street and look at it. And they all are like, Dad, you've lost your mind. But I try to keep that, like, it's that memory of Christmas. And then my hope is that when I pass that off, that when whichever one of my kids ends up with a leg lamp, whether they want to or not, that they do that to their kids. And that they're like, this was my dad's thing and this is what we did every year. And I hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
But you can't guarantee that I mean, Aiden might get that or Emmett might get that. They might throw it in the dumpster as soon as they get it because it doesn't mean anything to them. And so all we can do is try to create that memory
right.
of whatever it is. But
I see Easton putting that up.
Oh, Easton, definitely. Easton is just like Ralphie. I put that thing up and he's over there touching it. I'm like, Easton, stop. He can't resist the soft glow of electric sex.
I can see him, like, if someone else got it, like, not him. I mean, he could be 30, 35 years old and go into their house and stealing it.
Oh, have you guys heard that story with my grandma?
No.
So my grandma, when my grandpa was in the Navy, he was in Italy, and he brought home this copper plate that was pressed with Kennedy's face and the year he was born and the year he died. Okay. It wasn't anything special, but it has hung my entire life between my grandma's dining room and her, what was like a family room, but now it's between the dining room and the kitchen, like the living room and the kitchen. It has hung there my entire life. Okay. So when she moved from one house to the other, she hung it up. And my sister and I argue over who's going to get that thing. And I said to my grandma, that's fine. You can leave it to my sister, but I'm going to burn her house down. Like, that's just what it's going to be. Then I found out that my grandpa had actually bought one for my great grandma as well. And so now there are two of them. He found it. So there are two of them. And they just swapped them out. So we don't know which one's which. So we can't even say, I want the one that hung in the house, because now we don't know which one's which. So I can appreciate that.
So it came from Italy?
Yes.
Have you looked it up online?
I have not. I tried to find one on eBay because I was just going to buy myself one and then be like, haha, I got mine first. But I could never find the same one. And you can tell that they are very much so different, but I don't know which. I took a lead pencil one time and put a line down the middle of the one that hung in our house, but you can't see the line on it anymore. So I don't know which one's which.
She probably washed it off.
Probably. She knew. She caught me. She caught me.
She was looking through the door.
Yeah.
I see.
But that's one of those things that that's the best that we can do, is try to keep those things alive. You know, my grandpa was a huge influence on the type of music that I listened to Motown and, you know, old rock and roll and things like that, because that's what my grandpa would listen to when we were in his wood shop working with him. We counted down the days to Saturday because we knew grandpa would be in the wood shop Saturday morning. So we would get up and we would fight over who was going to go that day. And we would go down there and we would sweep up nails off the floor and we would keep the fire going. That was our entire Saturday. We loved that. And, you know, you think about it now, you couldn't get a kid to do that to save your life.
No.
Because I want to play my iPad.
Some of my favorite, like, memories with just my dad is, like, going and hunting and, you know, whether it was him who shot at me or even his friends that were with us, like, we'd always, because he had a wood burner and he was the only one that had a big garage with a wood burner. So we'd just spend the whole day and like, we could only have the back straps. Like, if you didn't go out and shoot the thing, because that's the best meat. But we would cook it, like, as we were processing the rest of it. So, yeah.
That's the only way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
butter.
It's really strange how we've lost some of that. You know, we waste our time. Kids waste their times on tablets and electronics. And our neighbor kid comes to our house pretty regularly, and she's not mean. She has some behavioral issues that she was being raised by her grandma, who was not mobile. Her grandpa worked all the time, and her aunt lived there, but her aunt was always at work or taking care of grandma. So she kind of was like free range.
She's the one that stayed, right? Stayed the night one time?
Yes, one time. Like, never again.
Not intentionally.
I have no problem saying that. They could be listening to this. Listen, she's a fine little girl, but she has to go home. I can't, like, I have a hard enough time with my own children in the evening. Like, I can't, no. And she, like I said, she's not a bad kid, but she has some behavioral issues, but she knows I don't play games. So one time we pulled in the driveway, and I see her running down the street, and her aunt is down there crying, yelling at her. Grandpa's trying to catch her. And I hopped out of the car, and Alyssa goes, Michael, don't do it. And I just yell her name at the top of my lungs, and she immediately stops head down, and walks in the house. And I went down and I said, if you guys need me, just call me. Because she doesn't play that game with me because she knows, first of all, I can catch her.
Yeah.
And second of all, I'll whoop her. I don't care. But
now you sound like me because everybody says, you don't want me to call your grandma Beth, do you?
I'm like, so it's just, I got out of the car yesterday. There were 3 neighbor kids playing in our yard and their mom was there. Okay. And Easton was with me. Easton gets out of the car and they're like, Easton, your girlfriend's here. And I went, we're going to stop that right now because Easton can't handle that. Once they start picking, he goes off the deep end, and now he's hitting or being mean and talking,
and then you have to deal with him the rest of the night.
And everybody, he hit me, he did this, he did that. It's not his fault. You started off, and their mom looked at me like, "Don't talk to my kids that way." And I'm thinking, well, I'll talk to you that way too. Like, don't let your kids act that way.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyhow, this little girl comes down to our house all the time, and she has this way of, it's always trying to convince my kids to do something. Like, go ask your mom if we can go inside. Go ask your dad if we can. Go ask can we just come inside? I just need to show you. And it's always something. But my kids, just like me, when I was growing up, aren't allowed inside.
Right.
Go outside and play. You have a basketball hoop. You have bikes. You have scooters. You have skateboards. You have the pool. You have water balloons. You have everything you can imagine. And not that they're not allowed to come inside, but if you're coming inside, don't ask me for a laptop. Don't ask me for an iPad. Don't ask me for a television. Go play with your toys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But they would waste their entire day in front of electronics if that's what we would let them do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's what that little girl wants. She wants to come inside and play on electronics all day.
Yeah.
And so they're so, full circle there, coming back to, that just is, I feel like we're raising a generation of people who will waste their time on literally anything but productive.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to comment on your story said about hunting.
Yeah.
I used to hunt with my dad probably up until I was 11 or 12. And I wasn't crazy about it, but I would go. And most time when he's under the tree waiting for the deer to come, I'm reading a book about Abraham Lincoln. I'm sitting at the bottom of the tree reading. But I wouldn't change those times for the world because there's so many things about those moments.
Yeah.
Just like the smell of the leaves, the smell of the air.
Waking up early and seeing the sunrise.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I could smell my dad's cigarettes. There's just so many things that make those memories even
Pop
better
out.
that really just that'll stay with you forever as opposed to something on a laptop that it doesn't lend itself to any.
Even we had like those bite-sized Snicker things, and I was with my uncle hunting one time, and he gave them to me. It's his fault. Well, I'm so anytime I see him, because I can hear him like 20 yards away. Sadie! I'm like, he's like, we're not going to say anything. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, then why'd you give me candy?
Exactly.
You should have given it to me already open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pocket full
Oh yeah,
of
when the
candy.
snacks were gone, I was ready to go home.
Yeah. See, my dad wouldn't take me because I wouldn't shut up. I'd be up in the tree. Are we going to see anything today? What are you doing down there? What's happening? Like,
Where they at?
yeah.
Why don't we go after them?
Yeah. He was like, nah, that's not going to happen. But he made me and my brother, who also never hunted, we had to go through firearm safety course. We had to, what else did we have to do? We had to learn how to shoot. Like, listen, I bought a 30-06 years ago that I gave to my dad. I bought it for me, but he was living on a farm at the time and he would shoot coyotes with it. So he and I would go, he had this long lane and he would hang milk jugs down the lane. And man, I would shoot the furthest milk jug as far away as I could because I love to shoot.
Yeah.
But we had to learn all of those things. Like, it wasn't an option. Yeah. And he didn't make us learn how to change the oil in our car or anything like that. But we were like, there were things that were not optional for us that now kids will never learn how to do.
Yeah. Yep.
It's wild, the difference in just how we raise children now.
I will say you're, mentioning that your kids are always outside, like, because if they would be on their tablet, if if you let them. Now, my dad, like, he would always say, go outside, like, you're not going to have many more nice days like this. And it's like mid-July. I'm like,
what do you mean?
You're lying. You're lying.
Yeah.
But if he wouldn't have said that, I would be sitting in front of that TV. Yeah. And that would have probably been, for a lot of us, like, a TV's been around, and so it's like
it's the equivalent whenever you're looking at how we grow up.
The time wasting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, but even that for us, I think as kids, even if we were watching TV, I think was different because I see plenty of these pictures on Facebook now where it's like you would sit all together and you would watch a particular show, and you had to watch it at that certain time.
Yes.
So
because you couldn't watch it again.
So that in itself was a memory because you all got together to watch it.
Well, and
now
we watched different things back then too, like Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I'm not saying it was all educational, but it wasn't the same stuff. Like my kids are watching.
It wasn't so self-involved.
Yes, my kids are watching other kids play with toys.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Open a toy and play with it. It's weird. It is weird.
It's like,
to me, that's
and even trying to get back in time after the commercial's done. Like, you remember, don't
you were diving over the back of the couch to be back in time.
Because you were being entertained and watching somebody open up toys. You're like, that's just making, I would think, as a kid, that would just make you miserable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember TGI Friday? What station was that on? I don't remember. But
ABC?
ABC, that was it. But you had Family Matters, you had Step by Step, you had Full House. Like that's what you did, and then like professional wrestling for us was like it was a big deal for us in our house. Like I didn't know it was fake then. Was I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that? Is that okay?
What are you talking about?
Because it was fake then.
I didn't know that I didn't. I had no idea, and we were so enthralled with it that like when and it wasn't Monday Night Raw at the time. It was just WWF. It was...
And it was more defined. It was good guys versus bad guys.
Right, exactly. And so when it would come on, I mean, we would watch. And then when pay-per-view, like when WrestleMania or whatever, like that was a night in. We would invite friends over to watch that with us. It was such a big deal.
Chase's brother still does that, by the way.
Well, maybe I need to hook up with him so I can go watch it. But all we do now is like, I'll stream that tomorrow morning. Yeah. Like, I don't know that my kids, my two boys, love football. I hate football, but they love it. And they're like, Dad, can we watch the Chiefs game? I'm like, no, we're not watching the Chiefs game. But they love sport. Like they know the players. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, who was Patrick Mahomes? What is that?
But then you have like YouTube TV has some providers that Hulu Live doesn't, and vice versa. And we have YouTube TV. But
how much do you pay for that? It's like $90 a month.
Well, we're at like 77.
It's
I think.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You might as well get satellite.
Yeah, it was very cheap when it all started.
Yeah, now it's not. Yeah, because it was like
raised it every year.
And I think I have Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount.
Yeah.
Or someone's login for
$300.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. It would be cheaper to just.
Yeah. Well, and we luckily have Chase's grandma's like code for her Spectrum, so we can watch all of the Guardians games and stuff. Yeah. But my grandparents are on our YouTube TV, like because the family planning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little thing you can do.
A little cheat.
Yeah, a little cheat sheet. You can like share it with up to 6 family members, and so they split the bill with us.
Can I be your uncle?
Sure. But the thing is like my grandpa won't be able to watch it the night of because it's not on that certain channel. So then
you have to watch it the
following day. So it's like he wants to watch it that night, but
you can't watch
stupid
sports
providers.
After the fact.
No, because everybody, you already know who won.
Right.
What fun is that?
Yeah.
Like, I know how it's going to, it's not a nail biter anymore.
No.
Maybe it'll change. You never know.
Maybe.
Well, you can watch it live on Spectrum or other places, but like the Chiefs are going to play a game on Christmas Day this year, and it's only going to be streamed on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
But
big money.
Yeah, I was going to say. And they will get signups for that very reason.
And there's Prime ones that only people that have Amazon Prime can watch.
The Super Bowl was exclusively on Peacock. You couldn't watch it on any other streaming platform other than Peacock. Yeah. And guess what they did the week of the Super Bowl?
Jack the price up.
They took away the 1 week free subscription. So you had to pay for 1 month in order to watch the Super Bowl.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Monopolies.
Yeah, and then I ended up with Peacock for a whole month.
Well, Peacock's great because you do have all the classic wrestling on Peacock.
Really?
Yeah.
Any
they are.
pay-per-view.
I didn't know that.
Of the old, all of it. It's
Can you
there.
get the SummerSlam where Doink the Clown and Jerry Lawler had the midgets that were like...
Every WrestleMania.
Can you? I have to find that. That was my jam, man. I love that one.
If you can think of it, it's there.
I think
that's amazing.
We have his brother's login info, and I think that's the only reason why he has Peacock.
That's the only reason I have it.
Listen, the Survivor Series where Kamala puts Undertaker in the... I'm going home and getting Peacock back, I can tell you that. I'm going to get my kids hooked on vintage wrestling.
Because it used to be WWE had their own
their own channel. Yes, I remember that.
And you could go through matches one at a time.
Oh.
Or now on Peacock, you can only fast forward and rewind. You can't go to a match. That's the only thing I don't like.
But you get the whole
but you get the
that whole pay-per-view.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. And then the
waste
old
some more time.
Yeah, I'm gonna waste some more time.
Saturday night's main event, all the weekly shows. I mean, like I said, if you could think of it,
I was going to say the weekly shows. What was it? We were on Everybody Loves Raymond, and then King of Queens, and now I'm like, I think I want to watch Reba, but that's on there.
Oh, Easton is like obsessed with Reba.
Yeah.
We watch. So they're allowed to watch one TV show when they wake up in the morning before they start whatever their day may be. So typically before school. So Easton gets up early. He watches one episode of Reba every day. Why? I don't know. Here's the problem with Reba, though. At the very beginning of that series, the daughter gets pregnant to her boyfriend. Right. They then get married.
They live together.
Yes. And so he says something about never having sex again.
Yeah. What's his name?
Easton Van.
Yeah, he's
Easton hears that question and goes, "Hey, what's sex?" And we're like, "Oh no."
They talk about it a lot.
I know
because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just not there with him yet. Yeah. But like we know we're getting there with Emmett. Like we're like all of those conversations we're about due for that. So we're trying
You want to teach them before somebody else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But because they're homeschooled, it's a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're not going to find out. They're not going to find out like Ra did.
Yeah.
They're not going to find out that way. So it's a lot easier for us. But at the same time, we also want them to be prepared and mature about it.
Right.
Like Easton uses the technical term for parts, and it just sounds weird. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to how about we just don't talk about it? Like let's just not use those words at all.
Right, right.
Like we don't have you don't need to tell me that.
Yeah.
Just
because you don't want to say you don't want to call it a nickname or something.
Right.
But you don't want them talking about it all the time either.
Anatomically correct parts.
Yes.
But
Adeline she gets into her nightgown at night, and then she'll do a cartwheel, and he'll just be like, "I almost saw your," and just says it. And I'm like, Easton, stop it. You don't have to. You didn't.
There's
and
no
she's
need.
not right. She's not doing anything wrong. Just leave her alone.
Yes.
It's always.
He's like that little boy in Kindergarten
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I watched part of Kindergarten Cop. I got to that point and I was like, Easton. Easton, right there. Yeah.
Maybe it's the O-N. Grayson, Easton.
Maybe. Okay, well, we actually ran an hour and a half tonight.
Wow.
So we're an hour and 20 minutes tonight. So
Dawn, I see you were focused.
Yeah, you had something.
Well, no, I just have a verse in Ecclesiastes. The words of the wise are like cattle prods. They're painful, but helpful. Their collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick in which the shepherd drives the sheep. But my child, let me give you some further advice. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay. Well, because you left us with great parting wisdom, you get to pray tonight.
Dear precious Heavenly Father, we come to you, dear Lord. Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you that we can come together and we can talk about subjects that aren't even associated sometimes with your word, Lord, but somehow we get back to your wisdom,
yes.
God. Lord God, we just ask and pray that you take everyone home safely and bring us back to our next appointed time. And all these things we ask and pray in your Son's most precious and holy name. Amen.
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 Hey friends, Pastor Michael again. If you've enjoyed this podcast, you should consider joining us on Sunday mornings. Our address is 1943 North Water Street Extension in Yorksville. We'd love to have you join us for an in-person service.